morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. It is lovely outside, and it's going to get even better. I hear it's going to be about 79 degrees here in Maryland, so I think I'm going to go put on some shorts. Very excited because it's been cold this week. We are ASMM Digital Small Business Connections. We are the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Our goal each and every episode is to give you something that you can walk away with and put to work in your business. Something that you can say, oh, this is why I'm here, and this is how I move past it. I have a podcast that I absolutely love, Michael Hyatt's Lead to Win with his daughter, Megan Hyatt Miller. And I love this show, this podcast, because, and by the way, they're not paying me. They should, because I talk about them a lot, but they're not paying me. I love the show because every single time I listen to it, I call Anastasia and say, oh, we need to put this into our business every single time without exception. And that's my goal. I want you to be able to listen to the show and go, oh, I need to do that. That's what I want. And if you can't, by the way, there's a little bird right here, I guess, outside my window. If you can't see it, it's adorable. So if you are listening to this, you are not seeing anything. But if you watch it, we are live, and we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you have questions, we've got experts here for you. Please ask questions. That's really important. You've got somebody here. You can also use the comments as a shameless plug. Tell us what you do, and maybe somebody will call you and you'll get business from it. So that's a really good way to do it. And I don't mind you doing that on the YouTube channel. I don't even mind you doing that in the podcast notes if you want to put that in there. I love to help small businesses, so please do that. Today we have Christine Hunt. She's with Hunt for Hope Wellness, and she's going to talk a little bit about what she does. Welcome, Christine. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, I'm so glad you came on. This is it's always fun to meet and talk to somebody new who I haven't spent a lot of time with. So I'm excited about having you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it, actually?
Well, I call myself a life wellness coach, and I do that because I work with a lot of wellness type issues. And if you go to my website, huntforhopewellness.com, then you'll see that I work with weight loss. I work with addictions. I work with people that have chronic illnesses or chronic pain, and also people that have experienced some kind of traumas in their life, maybe that has led to a diagnosis of PTSD. And just a little bit about how I got into it. I'm kind of a Jackie of all trades, I call myself, because I've done a lot of different things. But back in 2008, I had gotten diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I was seeing an alternative medicine practitioner, but all that person was doing was kind of giving me the alternative version of medications versus what a conventional doctor would do. And I just felt as though I got sick for a reason, and I felt as though there had to have been a way for me to heal my body. And so I started looking into other sorts of situations, other kinds of remedies. And then I came across the mind-body connection and learned about EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, which is what I'm going to be talking more about today. And so that's what I started training myself in, and became a coach focusing on those kinds of issues. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted it for a minute because I had a barking dog in the background.
Yes.
For those of you who listen to this and have not seen Rocky yet, he's a Great Dane, so it's a little, when he barks, you know it. Anyway, I wanted to say I love what you said about looking for alternatives, because I just spoke with a mom the other day who's got a child. That I talk to a lot of moms who have children who are dealing with depression. And
Yes.
I had two conversations with her. One was, this was her daughter who was dealing with depression, and she's 15 years old. And I said, have you thought about her hormones, and have you tracked that? And she said to me, actually, I have. And it happens at the same time a month, every month. And I said, and no doctor has talked to you about hormones, right? When you talk to them. And she says, no. And I'm like, so maybe that's something you should discuss. But the other thing is, they don't talk to you about diet and with depression and with these things. And I don't understand our medical field that we just look at we're single-minded. We go down one path. And I love that you're talking about looking at multiple paths. I think it's so important that we do that.
Yes,
So I
yes.
appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So tell me more. What is, you said emotional freedom technique. What is that exactly? And how does it work?
EFT stands again for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it's plural because there's lots of different techniques underneath of the EFT umbrella. It's also known as tapping, and a lot of people know it as tapping. And what ends up happening is in an EFT session, we will have a person recall a memory to them that was uncomfortable or traumatic in some way. And when you recall that memory, you're having exactly the same reaction to it, just thinking about it, as you did the first time that you experienced that. So the idea is kind of like in psychotherapy, there's what's called exposure therapy. So you are re-exposing yourself to that issue, to that trauma that you had. Then while you are talking about it and recalling the emotions that you have felt around it, you are tapping on specific acupuncture points. And what that does is it sends a calming signal to the brain. The main little part of the brain that's being affected is the amygdala, because the amygdala determines whether or not the information that it is receiving is a threat to you or not, or whether it is traumatic. And so the memory of that experience goes into your subconscious mind. And that's why people are triggered as they go through life. They'll encounter a situation that they'll have a certain reaction to, and they really don't know why. Well, it's the subconscious mind that is now being reminded of the similarity between what is currently going on to them to a traumatic or perceived trauma that they had earlier in life. So again, they're reacting the same way. So we get rid of those triggers. We reduce the intensity of the emotions, the thoughts, and shift the beliefs around what was started at the time of that trauma or that uncomfortable experience, and shift it into something more positive, reducing the emotional intensity around those memories, so that now when you think about it, it's like it's almost as if it didn't happen. It's like it's out there, or that you're watching yourself on a stage or a movie screen. You're detached from it. So you become dissociated from that trauma, which now helps to
Right.
reduce your stress levels.
This is so interesting, and actually, it's so funny. I learn something every time I interview somebody, and oftentimes I learn something about myself, right? And I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm thinking, okay, so what are things that really trigger me? And there's something that triggers me every time. And until you just said it, I'm like, oh, I knew it did, but I didn't know why. And as soon as you said it, I'm like, I know exactly why.
Yeah.
It is. I can't stand if I'm in the middle of an argument with somebody, and especially if it's something where you haven't seen them, but you are in the middle of an argument, whether you're talking online or whether you're anyway, and then you see them, and instead of saying, like, addressing it, they go, and like they're
Yeah.
really happy to see you, and they know they're not, and it will. I mean, most people don't like that. I don't not like it. I can't. I lose my mind. And I know as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, I know that's like a really long time ago thing for me. It was, I mean, literally a childhood thing for me. So
Yeah.
interesting that we can hold on to those things and not even realize it until something like that comes up.
Yeah. My business tagline is helping you get over it so you can get on with it. So you get
That's
over
great.
those hangups, you get over those things that trigger you to react a certain way.
Yeah, I love that. All right, I show you. So if you are listening, you are watching this and you want to make a comment, you can, and I can pull it up on the screen just like Helen Fitzgerald just did. She just said, Christine is wonderful and helps so many people. I love that you can do this. So please do. If you have comments, if you have something to say or you have a question, please ask it, because we can go right into it and give you some answers right here live.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, so yeah, so it's great to have you on for this. All right, so tell me, who can this help? The
Well,
long and short of it.
basically, it can help anybody who has a negative emotional reaction to something that happened to them in life and that is continuing to cause them problems. Well, just as an example, well, if you go to my website again, I work on a lot of wellness issues, but at least that's what my website says. But people come to me for all kinds of things. People come to me for relationship issues. So say there's a strained marital relationship. Well, where did that come from? You know, when you got married, you were so much in love. So what happened? Usually it's because things are said or done, a person gets hurt, the apology isn't good enough, there's bad feelings. And so, okay, well, where did that all start? Let's figure that out. And let's use the EFT technique to reduce that hurt, reduce those emotional connections to what happened so that you guys can get back on even ground again. For people that have weight problems, there's all kinds of reasons why people binge eat or emotional eat. They get stressed, and what happens? Food is their comfort. That's why it's called comfort food. So
Right.
they'll eat to feel better. Same thing with an addiction. The substance of choice is what makes them feel good. When a person has chronic pain, chronic illness, all of that has come from some particular life experience that they have had, that they are holding on to that emotion from. And this is being documented. There's a whole field of study called meta medicine, and it is all about what you are thinking, feeling, and believing, and where that is now manifesting in your body as far as
Yeah.
pain or illness.
That makes complete sense. It makes
Yeah.
complete sense. So before we talked today, I said to you, I also know somebody else who does a similar thing to you. And I said, when I'm thinking about who makes a good referral for her, I think, oh, people who say to me, this is, so easy. Why is it so easy for that person when I'm working my butt off and I'm not getting anywhere? So what are some of the other things that hold people back? What are some of the things that are holding people back from achieving the things that they want to in business? Because yes, this is personal. And what is that line from Godfather? He goes, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
Well, business and personal, if you own a business, they are hand in hand. You
Yes.
cannot separate
Yeah.
them. So what's holding people back, do you think?
Well, when people get stuck, it's usually because they've run into an obstacle, okay? Or they've got a hang up about doing something. Think of, if you're in business for yourself, you have to promote yourself. Well, if you don't feel worthy of making the kind of money that you want to make, then obstacles and blocks are going to show up in your life. That's just basic law of attraction. And law of attraction is essentially like attract like. So if you don't value yourself enough to say you want to be making, 6 figures, then that's not going to happen for you. So that's the
Right.
block. That's the hang up. Now where we go is, what is it that has caused that lack of personal value in your life?
Right.
The other thing can be, people don't feel as though they can express themselves very well. They don't feel as though they maybe are the right person for talking about what it is. They might have difficulty doing something like this, getting up in front
Right.
of an audience, being interviewed, seeing themselves. They're uncomfortable with that. Well, why is that? Where did that start? What is the self-confidence or the self-esteem issue that started that whole process for them? So when a person feels that they get blocked or that things just aren't working out for them, they never seem to get that break, then what we do is we explore, well, why is that happening? What happened that is causing you to feel that way? And then we use the EFT technique along with just a lot of discussion about, how can we break through from that? How can we get rid of that lack of self-esteem?
Right. Right. Well, and I think that, yes, I think so much of life goes back to that, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to that, and one of the most interesting things that ever happened for me and really realizing that I'm not alone in how I feel was I was sitting in a room of 1,000 CEOs, there were 1,000 CEOs. And the person on stage said, How many of you have experienced that feeling where you think, oh man, people are going to realize I don't really know what I'm talking about. They're
Yeah.
going to realize that I'm not enough. And every single hand in the room went up. And we're talking like some very, very powerful people in that room. And every single hand went up. And it's something, such a great lesson for me, because I also share it with my 14-year-old now when he gets nervous about auditions or whatever it is. I'm like, sweetie, everybody has that feeling. Everybody thinks
Yeah.
that they're just not, somebody's going to discover that they don't really belong where they are, or they're
Yeah.
not the expert they think they
Yeah,
are.
and that's the feeling that you are a fraud, that you are
Yes.
making these claims about what you can do for other people or whatever, but you feel like, oh, am I really that expertise? Can I really help that person? Maybe I should have more education or more background in this. And so they just feel as though they are not really prepared to present themselves as the expert or the person who should again be paying them money for the service or product that they provide. And that's the hang up.
Right.
That's the feeling like you're not good enough, like you said. And that can be a very strong deterrent or block to that ultimate level of success that a person wants to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about something that is more personal now, because I think it is, you know, it's happening a lot. And right now, we're in the middle of this pandemic. Many people are working from home all the time.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing much more, and we're going to talk about anxiety and stress and all of that in a minute as well. But many people are experiencing addiction or fear of addiction.
Mhm.
So this is something that you've seen a lot of too, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, addiction and sometimes the factor in weight gain, why people will eat emotionally, like I said, it's all about stress. And something happens in life that triggers them, and they feel bad about it. They feel less than, maybe, or they feel
Right.
angry. It can be any reason, okay, that they turn to their substance of choice. For people that have a weight problem, it might be they turn to food. For people with addictions, then they're going to turn to their substance of choice. Now, what that substance of choice does is it comforts them. It makes them feel good. It makes them calm down, de-stress. And in the case of the things that literally knock a person out, like the heavy drugs, they lose the consciousness. They go someplace else entirely, and so now they don't have to think about whatever it was. The problem with that is it's not solving the problem of why they react the way that they do. That
Right.
then goes back to what happened in your life that is now making you react in that way.
Right. Well, and it's not just not solving the problem. Oftentimes,
No,
it's causing much bigger problems.
it's causing much bigger problems because the longer the addiction goes on, usually the more of the substance a person ends up needing, such as in alcoholism. I was married to an alcoholic. I know what that can do to, I mean, it destroyed our marriage.
Right.
And I had
Right.
to leave that relationship because of the emotional abuse that I was exposed to. It really wasn't a physical abuse thing, but my gosh, talk about lack of self-esteem.
Yes.
EFT helped me tremendously to get over that in my life so that I could do what I'm doing
Right.
and build that
Right.
level of confidence in myself to have my own business and to then help other people in that way. So I've got personal experience with how an addiction can destroy a family, basically.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I think it's so important. And it occurs to me, so September is National Suicide Prevention Month. You know that I run a charity for suicide prevention. This
Right.
is near and dear to my heart. But the thing that I talk to people about when we talk about suicide is that people lose hope. And
Yes.
I love Hunt for Hope is the name of your business. And I think it's important that people understand that addiction and stress and anxiety, all of these things, it's so easy when you're in the middle of them to think this is what life is like,
Yeah.
and stop thinking that there's hope for overcoming it. And it's actually why I share our story. Our story sucked. I mean, 3 years of pure, somebody said they're like, I don't usually like to wish away a year, but I'm wishing away 2020. And I was like, oh, we wished away 2013, 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
And we were close to wishing away 2016 when things took a turn and life got better.
Yeah.
And there is hope at the other end. So I love what you're doing because you can help people with these things. So stress, anxiety, suicide, ideation, all of these things are things that you can work with people on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, when someone thinks that life sucks so bad that they want to take their own life, again, why are they thinking that way? What are the stressors? What is causing the anxiety, which of course can lead to a depressive state? You mentioned diet and hormones, and certainly they are factors. However, this is the thing. Our body reacts to what we are thinking and the emotions that we are feeling. So it's again, what has happened in a person's life that is causing the thought pattern and the emotions that a person is thinking that are now triggering those chemicals, those hormones to be released into the body, which then have that anxiety, that depressive state. Because they've always talked about, okay, depression, it's a chemical imbalance. Well, where did the chemical imbalance come from? It comes from the thoughts and emotions from the experiences that we have. So that's, again, why EFT and those kinds of therapies are so great at identifying that stuff and neutralizing the negative emotions and thoughts around them.
Right. Well, yes. So let's talk a little bit about something. I didn't prepare you for this. Sometimes I go off on a whole tangent, but I'm thinking about, we look at COVID, we look at what's happening right now, and people think that so when it first started, people were like, oh, well, they're not gonna quarantine people. Why? Because they never had before. Right. And now we're in it. And they're like, oh, well, you can expect this for 3 years. You can expect this for the foreseeable future. People are going to work from home forever. People are going to work. This is how, we're going to have to wear masks forever. We're going to have to. And that forever thing, I think, it's such a tricky thing because very little lasts forever. Right. And so I'm interested in your thoughts on how we get ourselves into that, because when you think about your life, it changes all the time. You think about do you have kids?
Oh yeah, they're grown.
So when you have a 2-year-old, you think, oh my God, being a mom is the hardest thing in the entire world. This is so horrible.
Right.
And then they turn 3 and you're like, oh, I love being a mom. This is the best. They're so sweet. And then they turn 4 and you're like, son of a bitch. Sorry, I'm going to get dinged on the language. But you're like, again, it's going to be like this forever. And it's stages. Your whole life is stages. So why do we get ourselves stuck in that place where we think that this is not a stage? This is the way it's going to be forever.
Well, I guess maybe part of it is the information that we are fed and that we believe that. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going on around COVID, which, of course, this is not the platform for that.
Right.
But there are agendas, okay?
Right.
You can be victims of the agendas that are going on. So that's one thing to think about. But I think overall, it's the kind of thing that this too shall pass. Yes, we're in a difficult place. But what I've also learned in life is that when you run up against something that's difficult, that's an obstacle, that causes a massive shift in your life, normally that shift is going to be for the better. Because we get stuck in the same old patterns. And maybe the globe has been stuck in a kind of a pattern that is not really working for us right now. And so it's kind of a pushing away, a moving away, a shifting away from the old. And you have to have something that is catastrophic like this in order for that to happen, because people aren't going to do it on their own. There's a safety and there's a comfort in being in a rut,
Right.
And so it takes something drastic for a person to change and to shift the way that they think about themselves, the world, how they're interacting, and so on and so forth. So, that's my 2 cents. Things
Yeah.
will be better.
Yeah. Things will be better.
I feel that things are going to be a whole lot better after this is all over. So,
Yeah, I absolutely think that. I think that's absolutely true. So do me a favor, I'm going to be honest with you. My child has just walked in the room and has started talking to me, even though he knows I'm on air. So I'm going to give you this opportunity. I love my child very much. He's not 2 anymore. He's 14 and the love of my life. But I'm going to let you tell everybody how they can find you and while I mute myself. So
okay.
you go ahead and tell everybody how.
Okay. Hi, again, my name is Christine Hunt. I'm a life wellness coach. My company is huntforhopewellness.com, as you see on the banner here. I want to just kind of tell you that basically stress is at the root of everything. It's at the root of weight problems. It's at the root of addictions. It's at the root of all of our chronic illnesses and chronic pain. It's at the root of traumas. It's at the root of marital relationships. All of these things really boil down to stress. And that is what I am helping people to relieve primarily, is their stress reactions to their incidents that they run into in life. I'm actually developing a stress workshop that I hope to have available sometime next year. The other thing that I'm doing is I am partnering with a couple of ladies to create a clutter workshop. And that is actually going to be on Saturday, October 3rd, beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And that will be available via Zoom. So you can go to my website, the huntforhopewellness.com. There at the very top area, there is a link that will take you to the cluttersolution.com website, where you can there's a button to register from there. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I focus on stress, wellness, and helping, because clutter is an emotional thing too.
I want to tell you, oh my gosh. So we just moved.
Yeah.
And in the process, I got rid of everything in our old house. I got rid of everything. And part of it was that we were expecting to move from our house, which was, not huge, but it was a good sized house, to a really small house in DC. And at the last minute, we didn't do that. We moved into a bigger house. Don't ask me why, but we did. And when we moved here, I had far less stuff. The amount of stress that has been relieved from just knowing where everything in my house is huge.
Yeah.
It is, I cannot stress enough how getting rid of the junk, getting rid of stuff that you haven't used, just change it. As a matter of fact, even though this house is bigger, I just said to my husband, we need to get rid of more stuff. We need to get rid of more stuff. It makes me feel better to get rid of the stuff.
Well, in the workshop, I actually talk about the energy of clutter and how it can weigh a person down. There's lots and lots of reasons why clutter can be an issue, but think about it. If you're a person that you feel like you always have clutter around, you clean it up, right? But then within a week or a month or two or whatever, boom, it's right back to the way it was again. Well, why is that? Okay, it's because of the emotional connection that you have to stuff, or, oh gosh, you're hanging on to it for just in case. There's lots of reasons. So that's what the workshop is all about, is to go over those reasons, but also teach you how to organize things a little bit better. It's that two-part connection that is the solution. That's why we call it the clutter solution.
I love that. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to be on vacation. Are you going to record it just so that people can come back and pay for it, or do it later?
Well, we're thinking about that. It's going to be completely on Zoom, so anybody in the world can watch it. And what we're going to be doing, yes, we will be recording it live on Zoom, and people need to have that Zoom connection, of course, to attend. But then we are considering holding on to it and having it as something that people can pay through the cluttersolution.com website, that they can just pay for it, view it, and then we're also offering other packages to be able to work with us and actually get your problem resolved for you.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And that sounds like something that would be, very valuable. I know for me, just getting rid of the stuff in this move was even like the crazy thing is my 14-year-old, he was the one who was like, oh my God, I love this so much. And he has
Yeah.
done in his new room, he has like, basically gotten rid of anything he doesn't need. It's got guitars, it's got his computer, and he's just like, if I don't use it today, I don't want it. And I
Yeah.
love that it had that effect on him. I think it's going to go through his life really well. All right, let me talk about what we've got coming up. So we have on next, it says Wednesday here, but it's actually next Monday. We have Andrea Dunathy. She's going to come on and she's going to talk about your business and a couple of things. But one of the things I'm excited about is she's going to talk about how you build your business in a way that you can sell it. And this is something that is really important to me because I started a business called Ann's Social Media and Marketing. I'm like, how the heck am I going to sell it? And so it is something that I have thought about. It is, but there's so much more to it than just about your name. There's so much more to what you're building and how to get it to a place that makes it easier to sell. So that's something, if you have a small business, this is a really good episode for you to listen to. She is amazing. I'm super excited about having her. I want to remind you to subscribe. It's been scrolling across the bottom here, youtube.com/Brennan and Annie. That's our YouTube channel. If you will subscribe there, that will make my kids not think I'm a nerd because I still haven't hit 1,000 subscribers. I really could use your help there. But also, to be honest with you, it's how we monetize it. And being monetized is how I will be able to continue to do this show because it is a lot of work. I had to hire 2 different people to help us produce this show. So it really is a lot of work and we can use your help. We are asmmdigital.com. This is my shameless plug. We are a digital marketing agency for small businesses. We help you create a community around your brand. The whole idea of social media is to be social, but businesses aren't using it that way. We will teach you how to do that. So that's really, really important as well. I want to go back to, where are you, Christine? You're on
I'm
here. Let
here.
me pull you up. Hi, there you are.
Hello.
So I want to thank you for coming on. This was wonderful. We've met in person a couple of times, but for like each time, I think a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to sit down and talk to you and have a real conversation. So I really appreciate this.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you so much.
awesome. And you hang on a minute. I'm going to end the show. Everybody, please tune in next Monday at 10 a.m. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and we'll have some great information for you. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.